look nervous.
No, I'm just watching how this works actually.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another amazing episode of LSC TV. We're doing another Ramadan Live special. And today we have a very, very, very special guest and very close friend of mine, Hajj Jamil, Dr. Jamil, Hajj Jamil,
Not
Sheikh
yet.
Jamil,
Not yet.
Sayyid Jamil for sure.
I'll take Sayyid, but
Welcome
Doctor
to the
I can't
show.
claim at the moment. So.
Assalamu
thank
alaikum wa
you.
rahmatullahi wa
Alaikum
barakatuh.
assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you going?
Good, alhamdulillah.
It's been a
Very
while.
good, very busy, very tired.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
You've just, Sayyid was telling us earlier on, he just submitted his PhD today.
Thesis today.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
Salam.
Massive journey.
How many years? It's been years.
So
I remember speaking to you about it before COVID.
Yeah, well, actually, I started my doctorate, and then that was 1 year, and I think we probably talked around that time as well.
Yeah.
And then after that, I got invited to the PhD, and that's 3.5 years.
Yeah,
so
mashallah.
all up, it's about 4 years, I think.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
MashaAllah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
May Allah grant you every success, inshallah.
Inshallah.
You're a hard worker, and I've seen it firsthand, but you're
You
always
praise me
very,
too
very
much,
last
Ridwan.
minute, mashallah, but very hard worker. You're very good right at the end.
Well,
You're like one of
fake
those
it till you
marathon
make it, as they
runners.
say.
That's
but
right.
Yeah,
That's what I do. You're like one of those marathon runners. You know how they pace themselves the entire race,
Yeah.
and you think, oh, this guy's not going to finish, and then in the last few
Well,
minutes,
that's
boom,
when they sprint,
he's
right?
a
So
sprinter.
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah,
is.
mashallah.
It really felt like that. I think doing a 4-year degree is it's a marathon, but you're sprinting as well. It's really hard towards the end.
Yeah.
Stay motivated with
because
kids
most of the
and-
time you're balancing work,
Yeah,
life,
work,
family life, kids.
work at the same time, full-time work.
Yeah,
And because it was under a scholarship program, I had to deliver.
yeah,
So I had to do it, a certain amount of publications per year and so forth. And it was really difficult to juggle, but alhamdulillah,
mashallah.
you find ways, I guess, if it's important. So
Mashallah. Well, welcome
Yeah.
to the show.
thank you.
What do you think?
It's beautiful, mashallah.
It's your first time here.
Yeah.
How do you think?
I'm
What do you think about
impressed.
the whole
Yeah,
place?
Mashallah, it's very nice.
From
Very
the ground
nice.
up, Jamil. From the
Yeah.
ground up,
Wow.
we've built this, and with Sayyid's guidance and
Yeah.
the community and stuff. I think I got to stop saying community. I think it's Sayyid put in a whole bunch of work to get this thing going
Yeah.
without much
It's
support.
good
Generally,
work,
but
alhamdulillah. It's a good service as well. It's
I
really
think
good.
we're very grateful and proud to be able to present something that's professional and
Yeah.
nice to the community as well.
No, mashallah.
It's an honor to have you on.
I'm
our
looking
show.
around, but I'm just admiring the
Yeah.
the tech stack.
What do you think? The
Yeah,
whole
it's really
camera work, everything. We've got the new cameras now
Yeah.
from the start of Shahr Ramadan. Sayyid got 3 new cameras and we've got the whole professional setup back there and everything. Alhamdulillah.
Mashallah.
We're almost at 3,000 subscribers. What are we? 2,700 subscribers. So
Mashallah.
we've clocked up about 1,400-ish
Wow.
subscribers just in Shahr Ramadan
Wow.
increase.
Wow.
And we're almost at 90,000 views.
Wow.
And 50 plus videos, 52, 53, 54 videos so
Mashallah.
far.
Yeah.
So with Allah's blessing, alhamdulillah, the intention is there.
And that's the important thing, right? If the intention is clean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you. Inshallah, many more blessings and growth. Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And we're very, very blessed to have you on our show today.
Oh, you're too kind.
We've got a couple of different topics we wanted to talk about. Obviously, your expertise in the cyberspace as well as in the AI space, and you've combined those two as part of your
Correct, yeah.
your PhD research. From a Shia, a Muslim youth viewpoint, how do you feel, and I don't want this to be an interview, obviously, we're just having but definitely I want your opinion on how you feel AI and cyber is impacting youth, the Shia youth into the future, particularly around, there's a couple of topics. One of them is particularly around security, and keeping that security in the household. From, because before, if I'm like back in our day, if we're looking at haram stuff or doing haram stuff, it's quite obvious because it's physical. It's out there. It's
true.
But now it's all hidden in these in the phones and in the devices. And the other side of the equation is you don't know who your kids are talking to because it could be a AI bot behind something. Allah
And there was a case of that recently where a child actually died because of that.
Really?
Yeah.
In Australia?
I think it's in America, but he had a discussion with the AI bot and just escalated. And that was his go-to for mental health, I believe. So he had, someone he didn't realize. I'm not sure if he realized it was an AI bot, but it was ultimately AI bot, and this thing told him to do things that he shouldn't have done. And he's
only in America.
he's no more. Yeah, it can be very dangerous. Yeah, if it's
cyberbullying with an AI bot.
Well,
basically,
it was actually I'm sort of just watching my words really, but he had a discussion with this chat bot.
Yeah,
and it encouraged him to end his life and so forth.
Wow.
And he actually did it.
I know there was a case a few weeks ago where I won't say the name of the AI, but it went haywire and started abusing the user.
Yep.
And they shut it down.
Yeah.
I had it on my device.
Yeah.
I noticed it uninstalled automatically. So I reinstalled it because I like it. I use it for work and stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
And it is a wild, wild west situation, isn't it? Because it's
absolutely
open slather right now. There's no controls.
It's like how the internet was before. It was just something brand new. AI is just, we don't know where it's going at the moment. It's, we're progressing at a massive pace. We've released these tools to the wild, and these kids are using it. Everyone. I don't know someone who's not using it, to be honest, unless you're a bit older.
Well, it's standard on every device now.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And they're embedding it in tools, in Microsoft and so forth. So I think, for kids, it's going to be a massive challenge, especially in, the academia and schooling worlds, because they have to now, the risk is relying on these things too much, where you're not actually using your brain anymore. And I think that's a big risk. So, by default, you'll see kids, they have an assignment. They even have tools, so they'll use ChatGPT, and then they'll use another tool to make it sound less ChatGPT. And then maybe you use another tool to sort of mask that. And ultimately, they're just, it's plagiarism and so forth. But they're not using their minds, and they're becoming less effective. So that's a massive risk. And obviously, as you said before, like, your kids don't have that awareness.
Yeah.
When they actually put their information into wild. So, for example, my kids will play games. And sometimes they just say, "Oh, my name's this and this," and I go, "Hey, hold on! You shouldn't be giving your personal information on the net to a random stranger." And I think because these things are new and they're sort of innocent, they don't understand these things. That information is now
publicly available.
So, ChatGPT, all these things, especially if they're putting public information inside these tools, that's now available to them as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lack of awareness of these things, and especially in the security realm, and I think these are the risks.
Well, the other side of the equation, and as you said, it is a balance. And Sayed and I had this conversation when we first, during our first ever podcast, when we were talking about social media platforms, and we were talking about there's a balance between shielding the kids from using it, and then to the degree where they fall behind because it is the future, and allowing them to use it because you want them to be skilled.
Correct.
In the future, because that's ultimately that's where work and life is going.
Yeah.
Businesses are going that way, and other things are going that way. So you don't want them to be falling behind.
Yeah.
By, not allowing
learning
them
how to do it. Yeah,
but
that's right.
then you've got that situation where, to use it too much is the opposite effect. Where you're dumbing down the situation.
Yeah.
And I remember, I had a train of thought. I completely forgot. But there was it's essentially that in the that's right. There was an article about where they were saying that in the future, where the skill set is going to be is in the prompt management of the AI.
How you use the actual
so
AI.
it's how skilled you are at building the prompts.
Correct. Yeah.
To the AI in order to facilitate what you want.
Yeah. That's
going to be the new. So like, whereas today, if you're a graphic designer and you know a particular software package and you draw.
Yeah.
In the future, that drawing skill set is going to be replaced with prompt management.
Yeah, that's right.
Where how you articulate your commands
and
tell manipulate the AI. But really, it's a better version, though. It's in testing. It's not. Yeah. It's still learning.
It's still learning.
And our kids are out there.
They're training it, ultimately.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think, look, it's a tool. It's like a knife. You can cut fruit. You can kill someone.
Yeah.
And, you can be extremely productive, but also you have to be mindful and cognizant that it's going to, kill industries as well in a way.
Absolutely.
Especially the lower end that can be, very automated. But it is definitely something that can be used for good as well. But there are risks there with AI. And, there's a race. It's an arms race. Really, that's the best way to say it as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Internationally?
Look, if you look for internationally,
wow.
It's, the big topics are quantum computing, you're going to hear about. You're going to hear about AI. Definitely in the military world, AI is used. It's problematic because if AI is used and there's no accountability for that AI, for example, if a person does something, that they have to be accountable.
That's right.
If a robot does it, they're not accountable.
Who's accountable?
Exactly. So I think these are the big problems going into the future. There's a lot of talk around AI ethics and all this sort of stuff as well. So it's a new world.
Yeah. I think it's important to make a distinction, in my opinion, where when people say it's a tool, like you just said, it's a tool. A tool, I know,
Yep.
I know what to do with a knife.
Yep.
I know how to instruct my children.
Yeah.
What to do with the knife.
Yep.
I know how to secure the knife.
Yes.
It's something familiar to everybody.
Yep.
With AI, you and I as parents, we're in IT.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
So you and I are at the front end getting, pushing this thing forward.
True.
We're using it in our ticket management systems.
True.
We're using it in our client interactions.
Yep.
We're getting, client insights based off that.
Yep.
We're using it. We know precisely where it's going, how it's going, what it's being used for. Right. We can recognize it. It's getting more and more difficult to recognize, but we can recognize when an AI is involved in it.
Yeah.
We are, in fact, tracking the percentage of automation across our ticket platforms and across our ticket management and our analysts' engagement in it. We're clocking the hours of usage between
That's comprehensive.
That's right. We're clocking the hours between an agent and an AI, and we're claiming those hours back as billable hours to a client, for example, right? We are there. Most parents are not on that front line. No. If you're a doctor, if you're a pharmacist, if you're a tradesperson, how on earth you would just see it as a tool, a toy, less than a tool. You would see it as something fun.
Well, they haven't realized the benefits yet.
Yeah, but you and I will know the exact precise danger around it.
Yeah,
most parents don't.
They don't. But I mean, that's one paradigm of security. There's most kids are using games, for example.
Yeah,
and that's a problem. Most kids. The biggest problem I see now is kids with phones. So I say, stepping back a bit. So example, cybersecurity, there's a heavy emphasis on protecting personal information.
That's right.
Which makes sense because you don't want a company releasing information. People use that for fraud. But there's a lack of emphasis on restrictions of content.
That's right.
So no one is, yes, there are, like example, we have the 15 plus and so forth and MA and all that sort of ratings. But we have a different worldview as Muslims, right? So I don't want my kids looking at certain things. It may be okay in society.
Yes.
But it's not okay at home.
That's right.
So I think, and now, example, when they reach a certain age, there's now a dichotomy. They can get a phone, they can work, but this, I don't allow it, but then society allows it because they're over 15. So there's a lot of things like that. There's complexities like that. I think ultimately the parents have to have a pulse on what's happening.
There's not even a crumb trail to follow, though. If I grab my son's phone or my daughter's phone, there is no way of me looking up. There's certain apps there are, but that can be deleted very, very quickly.
Yes.
And the AI can be instructed to do so right at the very beginning when they first get the device, which they're very savvy enough to do.
Yeah.
There is no way I can follow the crumbs to see what they've been looking at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless they're looking at the device in front of me.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But look, there is, you're right. You're right. And you have to, unfortunately, I heard a very beautiful quote when I was in another country that's probably not very well liked at the moment. But I went to a scholar and he said a very beautiful thing. He said, it takes 1,000 people to build a city and one person to destroy it.
Yes.
Imagine a one person building it and 1,000 people destroying it. We are that one person as parents. And I think we really have to keep a pulse on the technology. And it's part of our duty. And, I'm guilty as well. I'm too busy. I just finished a 4-year PhD plus working and stuff.
Absolutely.
We're all busy. But I think there's probably some guidelines that you probably have to look at. Like, we have to sort of invest time to understand certain things about, cybersecurity and how to protect our kids from certain things as well. Ultimately, we have to have a pulse on it. For example, overseas in these big companies like Facebook and so forth, the executives do not let their kids use those own apps.
Yeah.
They don't let their kids use them.
Yeah.
So if they're not, because they can see what's happening in the back end.
Yeah.
If they're not allowing that, then, because we're too busy, we don't understand, but ultimately there is some danger in these things.
Jamil, there's another side of it. You're looking at it from a data viewpoint, which is very true.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from a psychology viewpoint.
Yep.
You know my background.
Mm.
So right now, we had a problem years ago where in the media, etc., there was a big issue with privacy, not necessarily data privacy like you described it, but data privacy in the same way that person was describing it around one person destroying the city. In that these systems are in the background building a psychology profile of us, of our kids, right? And that psychology that profile is being used for profit.
Absolutely.
Only.
Absolutely.
Only for profit.
Yep.
No other thing is it used for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the past, when you had certain apps such as, I won't say the names of the apps, but certain large companies building these psychological profiles, you can do things like disconnect from here or whatever, delete the app or go and request that company to delete all of your personal information. You can even do that today on all of your social media profiles. You can go to, whatever social media platform you're on and request either a copy of all of the information or request them to delete all of your information. AI does not allow you to do that. And so right now what we're looking at in terms of destroying the city, you are one person or your child is one person who is unknowingly, because these AI is not dormant on your device ever. It is constantly monitoring, listening, watching, everything. So it's whatever they're doing, whether they're on the device or not, whether they're in the app or not, is being monitored. And then a psychological profile is being built. And then when they hit 18 and start getting their own money, bang, they are helpless to the world. They are now essentially enslaved to this system where they are so in tune with their psychology that they impulsively must spend in the way that those large corporates are driving. And it's a danger too. Because it takes away, the city of internal, psychological peace, Sakina, is now being destroyed by the thousands of AI things that are hammering us daily.
Absolutely.
It's helpless.
And on your previous point, for someone who uses ChatGPT a lot, go back and actually do this as homework. Go and type in, what do you know about me, or something like that, along those lines. With everything in my chat history, tell me about me and be brutally honest, and watch what it says about you. I was shocked when it talked about me. I was saying, okay, well, give me suggestions about this and that. It knows so much about you by default.
I need to talk to you about that off air because I tried that.
Yes.
And it came back and said, I can't give you information on specific individuals, only on public figures. But that could be the platform I was using.
Yeah.
Or it could be my, because I don't pay for the subscription.
If you have, well, if you have the subscription, look, in my case, it was literally detailing, how I am as a person and so forth. And I thought, this is crazy.
Well,
which is really strange because the way it works, it's just amazing the amount of data that it has and
that we are not aware that
we're not aware of, and we're just typing. Example, we ask a question, but that's actually intel for this actual system. I don't want to say the sky is falling. It's a great tool. But you have to be mindful.
We'll get to the positive stuff in a minute.
There's unfortunately a lot of bad. But I think ultimately you have to be mindful of what you're putting into these tools. You're right. It's a big problem for companies as well because they're using AI. People in the company are going into AI using that. So it's the same problem with our kids.
Yeah, so I called someone. I had bought a new phone of a particular brand, and I called someone and their phone was off. So I hung up. And I walked around, lived my life normally, and then my alarm went off, like, the alarm you used to wake up in the morning. And I looked at my phone and it said, the person's name is now online. Would you like to call them? Hang on, my phone is polling their phone to see when it gets turned on, and then alerting me to call them even though that person hasn't allowed the permissions
crazy.
to do that. It's just doing that as part of its network interaction.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It's profit. The fight for attention.
Yes.
I think these are the big things, because ultimately it means more profit.
Yeah. On the flip side,
Mm.
it allows, it's a whole new world of things. So, like for example, today I was looking up, I wanted to create an app for LOC TV.
Yeah.
I had a look at that. Say it's got a WhatsApp group called not a group, but a channel.
Yep.
LOC TV channel. Subscribe if you want to subscribe to the LOC TV WhatsApp channel, as well as subscribe and comment to our channel, obviously on YouTube. I wanted to build an app so that we can do like daily dua, daily whatever on this app. And I threw it into ChatGPT, and it gave me a full rundown of how to build an Android app and where to go and what to download. And it didn't do it for me, but I can go to all of these things. I think it's called something Android developer or something. Anyway, you can download this thing, and it, it's not like the old days where you have to code it anymore.
Yeah,
it's all graphical interfaces.
No, I literally built an app a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now, like, I haven't coded in a while.
Yeah.
But I have the general knowledge.
You were a coding expert.
I was a coder. Like, I did code, but then I lost a lot of that.
Yeah.
And then I literally built an app myself through ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Albeit it had some bugging issues, and you got to watch the security, but ultimately it can do that.
Yeah. And it's like the sky's the limit now.
Yep.
I wanted to build a online maths tutor.
Yep.
And I typed it into chat. It gave me everything I needed. I'm very lazy. I haven't done it.
Well, don't worry. The kids are typing that in.
Yeah.
with their assignments.
But thankfully, ChatGPT is not very good at maths, I've heard. So they have to double check what they do. So at least it's giving them the working out, but not the final answer. So they've got to double check that. But yeah, it's a great tool for learning, great tool for exploring different things, avenues and areas that you may not get a teacher in that particular area. If I have a religious question and I call the Sayyid at 2:00 in the morning, he won't be very happy.
Absolutely.
He'll answer, but he won't be very happy. He's looking at me. But I can ask ChatGPT, or I can ask whatever AI platform.
Well, it's going to give you a world view.
But I specifically said in the words of according to the teachings of Sayyid Sistani. Is Salat al-Jum'ah compulsory at the mosque? Okay, and then it will give me the reference to where to go and look for it.
This is a really good discussion.
Yeah,
because I think people now use it for religious topics.
Yes,
you have to be mindful that how it works is it's being trained off the internet.
Yes.
Now,
the wild west.
But you have people, it's called reinforcement learning. So you have people in the back end that are tuning that model to make it better.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you need people who are specialists in fiqh to now tune for that particular use case. Otherwise, just going to pull it from the net.
Yeah.
And there's something called hallucinations. It'll make stuff up.
Yep.
Who's to vet whether that's correct or not? Now, in most topics, companies, they'll have people training. You can actually make money training these AI models. Not much, but you can make money doing that. But that's the problem if you use it also for the religious stuff as well. So it can be, good and bad. You got to know the limits.
As a scholar, you're out there, you're going to be faced with the argument, right? You get this young guy, 18, 19. You say something in the khutbah.
Yep.
He'll Google it or look at it on the AI.
Yeah.
And then he'll come back and challenge you later on and say, "Oh, well, hang on, there's this thing."
Yep.
But you're looking at this thing, and it could be just that.
It could
be
hallucination. Look, I mean that's true. Ultimately, it's a good thing if it encourages discourse. But I think you're right. I mean, there is hallucinations. There are things that you've really got to make sure you know what it's saying. And I think, as you mentioned before, having references, you can actually ask it for references. That's important as well. Making sure that it's accountable.
Subhanallah. It's a
new world.
But how do you do that? I mean, really, practically, how do you do that? How do you police that? How do you, ensure that not only yourself but your kids, everyone around you, isn't being negatively impacted by it? I mean, I remember during COVID, there's a particular social media app with the short videos that you keep scrolling through.
Yep.
I don't want to name it, but it came up and everyone was using it. And then I didn't realize what it was. I thought it was just some kids thing.
Yeah.
Until I saw my daughter watching something on, and I'm like, I paid attention to this video. I banned it out of my household.
Yeah,
You know which app?
Yeah.
I banned it from the household. There's no kids filter whatsoever in it. It's just, and that was like a danger. But luckily, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, gave me a glimpse into where that is, and I was able to take some corrective action. But with AI, and even like cybersecurity, it's less and less visible.
It is
to other individuals, and I suppose it comes back to what Said was saying the other day around the importance of raising your kids in a way that they can self-police.
Yes, that's an important point.
And building that fire in their heart for Allah and
I mean, drawing back on our experiences, I mean, we grew up in similar areas.
Yeah,
we didn't have this policing.
No,
but I think we turned out all right.
We had a crossroads to cross. So for everyone's knowledge, Said Jamil and I have known each other for over 20 years now.
Over 20 years, yeah.
And it's a rags to riches story. And alhamdulillah, I was a little bit ahead of you at uni. I started a year before you.
I don't doubt that.
Back in the day where we used to drag the hasiri up towards the tree. Remember Shadi and I dragging it up underneath the tree up towards the just behind the X block. And we used to pray Jummah there, and then when you started, we had the first musalla.
We had a musalla,
the first musalla there, and we were gifted that. So it's been a long journey, for us both. But I think we had a crossroads at one stage, both of us, where we could have chosen a different path, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala gifted us a different path.
Well, that's the thing; it's the blessings, right? So I grew up around here, actually, around these areas, and it was really, really rough.
Yep.
And I constantly look back and think, it's a miracle that I've actually followed this path, even that arguably I'm not saying I'm the best or anything, but I'm just saying alhamdulillah I'm on the religion. So but I mean. It was very tough back then. I didn't have all that guidance. I think, it's purely a blessing, but I think the community itself and exposure that over time probably made a big difference.
And there's the value right there. The community, there's the value in the family, absolutely. No, absolutely.
So my dad example would always take me to Majlis.
Yeah.
When it was...
I see your dad every Friday.
Yeah.
Every Friday.
He loves the masjid.
Yeah, I love him.
So he was actually... He would always take me, even though actually I didn't actually understand what was going on a lot of times, but I think the exposure and the environment, it sort of stayed in my heart, you could say. And then as I grew up, it was now embedded in me. So I think it's important that we have these community things.
There was the value of it is there, and there's the for example, my son and I visited a very, very well-known sheikh. You probably know who I'm talking about overseas. And this guy is, alim, like top-notch sheikh. And we're talking about, and he said to my son about, learning Arabic and the importance of learning Arabic. And he made a joke with my son. He said, when you go to heaven, Allah's going to come and talk to you in Arabic. And if you can't speak Arabic, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And my son looked at him and said, hang on, no. Nabi Ibrahim and Nabi Musa never spoke Arabic. How do you say that? And then, and he got that off AI, obviously. And then the sheikh was sitting there going, oh, okay, all right. So it's it elevates their knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you combine that knowledge with the community involvement and the masajid and the interaction with the ulama and stuff like this, it's very beneficial. So you sell yourself too short. You sell yourself too short. I have two people in my life that I consider foundational in my journey to Islam. You don't know this. I'm informing you of this now.
You shouldn't be telling me
I'm just telling you this live.
Don't make it live.
There's two people. One of them was named Adam, and he was a Turkish brother of mine, a Sunni brother of mine back at high school. And, back then, in Granville, I had the crossroads there, and he was instrumental in guiding me to where I am. And the other person is you, and you sell yourself short because I consider you to be the what do they call it? The guiding star in terms of what's right.
Way too generous.
It is not. It is not at all.
Realistically,
it is not. Say, Jamil, I think you've got to understand, and we've had these conversations a lot, but I have to say out loud to everybody that thanks to this man right here, the majority of the goodness in my life is from Allah, of course.
That's all
But you had a hand in it.
Look,
and I'm talking everything.
Yeah,
so Alhamdulillah, I'm grateful to have you as a brother.
I think you're way too generous, honestly, because the mu'min are brothers, and also mirrors.
Yes, but there's a lot of ugly mirrors out there, brother.
Yeah, there's a lot of cloudy mirrors out. Alhamdulillah, you're a very shiny mirror. So anything that comes to me, as they say in Arabic, if you see goodness, that means you're good.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I'm blessed to have you as
I love every Shahr Ramadan we have this thing. Hey bro, did they announce the moon sighting yet? And I'm like, and you're like, bro, I'm looking at the same sky as you. Why are you asking me for?
Oh dear.
Alhamdulillah. And I mean, we digress, but going back to the topics that we spoke about and the importance of having the community and it just goes to show that even though things such as physically going to a masjid and listening to a lecture rather than watching it online is seen to be old school and old fashioned, and it grounds the importance of it when you're looking at it in context of the exposure and risk around our children, families today.
That's right.
And how important it is to have that community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the same with my kids. It's alhamdulillah, they go to a predominantly Shia school.
Yeah.
Because I don't have all the time available, but we should be taking him to the centres and, community programs. We don't have enough programs for youth, I feel. I think.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. And on top of that, a lot of the centres, there's a risk in the centre.
Yeah.
You even got to keep your eye out on your kids in the centre.
Yeah. But in saying that, I really applaud the older generations as well, because they came from a place was often very difficult to leave their countries. They had war, they had very difficult situations. They came to this country, as foreigners, as aliens almost, and then they established this community for us. I feel it's up to us now to take that torch forward.
Yeah, and I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think the community was there organically when they came over as a need to survive, because there was a limit to what they could do externally to that community.
Yeah.
And I think that led to a lot of infighting. And I think what's come out of that is, best effort of the time. But I think our generation is paying for that, our generation, because if you go back to we're the meat in the sandwich, you and I. The previous generation had a mindset of relying on the children to support them. And our children have a mentality of us supporting them. And so who's there to support us?
Yeah, true.
And then when we go into things like the centers or the mosques or things with ideas and things we want to do, oftentimes, if it's not in line with someone's desire, we get pushed out. And, alhamdulillah, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a great thing because it leads to innovation.
Yeah.
Things like LOC TV, things like other different things happening. And I think that's super duper important to understand that what we are going through is more difficult. We have nowhere, where do we go? They came here for a better life. Where do we go for a better life?
True.
We can't go back. I go back to Lebanon. I love Lebanon.
Yeah.
I love the village. I love the people. The most amazing thing, if I grew up there, my God, where would my brain be? If I had the level of organic support from the ground up that they have.
Yeah.
Who knows?
True.
Maybe not. Maybe I'll take it for granted, right? I don't know. But here, we're the meat in the sandwich. We're supporting up and we're supporting down.
Yeah. This is true.
And, because that generation needed, where to go, who to talk to, how to do things, how to solve the problem, which they have a reliance, which is good. We want that.
Yeah.
And then our kids have a reliance, which is good. We want that. But then who do you and I go to other than each other? And I think that's where the bond is.
Yeah.
That's where the strength is.
Yeah, that's true.
Is the support for each other and then building that stepping stone up. No one is here teaching us how to deal with cybersecurity. No one is here teaching us how to deal with AI, social media. Everything's thrown at us.
Yes.
And then next thing you know, your parents or my parents are getting a phone call from a scammer. They call us, what do I do? Do this.
Yep.
Our kids get, interface with some crappy thing.
Yeah.
We get a phone call. What do we do? Do this. So we're now the meat in the sandwich.
That's right.
That's what Allah has written for us here.
Yeah.
And that's a sort of a moment or an epiphany I had a little while ago where I thought to myself, if there's something you and I don't know, who do we turn to for advice?
Oh, ChatGPT.
I call you.
Yeah.
You probably have some guy you call.
Yeah.
I call Sayyid. We rely on each other.
You need a strong circle. Yeah, exactly.
That's the community. Yeah. That's where it is.
And
that's
this is a good point. You need a community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good. We should make a short out of that. I think that's a good short.
Yeah, you really
need
with
the meat in the sandwich. That's a good one. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, we're 5 minutes over time. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Absolutely.
I know how busy you are. You had a massive day. You submitted it today, right? Or was it yesterday?
So literally a couple of hours ago.
So that's it. You were supposed to submit it yesterday. You
well, I had a deadline of this week. Otherwise, I had to pay extra for the semester.
Right, alhamdulillah.
So alhamdulillah, that's done. Now I can relax and
alhamdulillah. So I know how busy you are. I know how tired you are. I don't know, but I can imagine how tired you are. And I appreciate your time. Thank you very, very much for coming in. Thank you very, very much for everyone for watching. Inshallah, you enjoyed our episode. We should do it again sometime. Inshallah soon. Please like, subscribe, comment. And inshallah, we'll catch you tomorrow night, bismillah, on Ramadan Vibes Live.